Ah yes, Clamp, the prolific all-female group of mangaka known for their massive body of work. They created Cardcaptor Sakura, Tsubasa Chronicle, X 1999, Rayearth, Chobits, the character designs for Code Geass. You know, to go down their whole resume would take way too long, but that doesn't even matter because today we're here to talk about a couple of lesser-known pieces from the same minds that brought us titles like Kobato and Angelic Layer. I am referring, of course, to Clamp's two JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders doujins, in which Dio uses the world to eat Jotaro's breakfast and Kakyoin lays an egg. We're just gonna dive right into this. So here's a lesser-known fun fact about Clamp. Before they were, well, Clamp, they were a 12-woman doujin circle called Clamp Cluster. Now, I've been throwing the word doujin around a few times now, so just in case you don't know what that is, it's short for doujinshi, which are basically Japanese fan comics. So anyways, before the release of Clamp's first original work, RG Veda, they were making doujin together for series like Devilman and Saint Seiya. But even after they entered the realm of original works, they never forgot their roots and would still publish some new doujin from time to time in things like their Clamp in Wonderland books. But we're here to talk about their JoJo doujin, their Jojin perhaps. So Clamp's JoJo's doujin series is called JoJo's Bizarre Married Life. There's one part of it in another doujin compilation book by Clamp called Clamp Laboratory 6, but the main one we'll be looking at today is the one in Clamp in Wonderland 1994. Both doujins ship Jotaro with Kakyoin and take place in a kinda AU in which nobody died on their trip to Egypt, and then Jotaro and Kakyoin immediately got married once they got back to Japan. And when I say nobody died, I sincerely mean nobody died, because not only is Dio here, but apparently he lives next door too. Honestly, this should have been how Stardust Crusaders ended right here. This seems pretty eventful. On that note, let's take a look at the one in Clamp Laboratory 6. So this one is pretty short and to the point. Kakyoin wants to make breakfast for his new hubby. Dio shows up and uses the world to eat everyone's food, you know, normal day. But then it makes him sick and he's defeated yet again. So, like I said, typical day in the neighborhood for the Stardust Crusaders. There's also an even shorter second part to this where Joseph, Abdel, Iggy, and Polnareff decide that it would be a great idea to use Hermit Purple to spy on the newlyweds' first night together because that's totally not a major invasion of privacy. And that's pretty bizarre, sure, but it's the one in Clamp in Wonderland that's truly bizarre. In fact, it is so bizarre that you don't even have to crack the book open for the weird to start. Now, right off the bat, this cover is definitely striking. So we got Giant Robo in the background holding most of the Stardust Crusaders squad. So far, so good. I see Cutie Honey, the android from Black Magic M66. And then I see Sonic the Hedgehog right in front, fitting right in as usual, I see. Now, I know this video is about why JoJo's is on the cover, but since I'm sure many of you will be equally curious why Sonic the Hedgehog of all characters is on the cover with them, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you now that it's because Clamp made a short 2 pages introducing humanized versions of Sonic, Tails, and Shadow. Yeah, I know, surprisingly it's not very exciting, right? But incidentally, do you know what is exciting? Yeah, Kakyoin laying an egg! In this entry of JoJo's Bizarre Married Life, Kakyoin wakes up and lays a pretty big egg. Polnareff seems to be the only one who recognizes how outlandish this is. I get that they've just gone through one hell of an adventure and that they've definitely seen some weird shit and they're probably numb to it by now, but I mean, their friend just laid a torso-sized egg in his sleep, and Polnareff is the only one who seems to realize this isn't normal? Really? Even worse, Joseph seems to be happy for Kakyoin? What? The egg hatches almost immediately into a baby with a full head of hair and the Joestar birthmark. Kakyoin immediately loves the child, but Jotaro doesn't seem to be as thrilled. Odd, I can only imagine why he wouldn't be totally thrilled to suddenly discover he's the teenaged father of a mysterious egg baby, but hey, you know, to each their own. The second part takes place a week later. Kakyoin and Jotaro have named their son Jota, and he's already old enough to start attending kindergarten, cause, you know, egg. Jotaro and Jota have a quick glare-off, and we see that Jota has a stand that's literally just a green star platinum. Realizing that they've run out of tarot cards, Jotaro decides to name the kid after a bottle of soap that happens to be nearby, Charmy Green, and I looked it up, by the way, and Charmy is, in fact, a real brand of dish soap in Japan. Not even doujins can escape the temptation of product placement, it seems. The third and final part takes place 10 years later when Jotaro heads over to Morio for the events of Diamond is Unbreakable. Josuke is telling Jota how jealous he is that Jotaro gets to be his dad, and right when Josuke is asking about his mom, Kakyoin shows up and we get a casual reminder / unintentional foreshadowing that Jotaro's not a big fan of his son. By the way, in case you were wondering, Stone Ocean wouldn't even start to be published until 1999, a full 5 years after JoJo's Bizarre Married Life. Which is a shame, because after reading this, I can't think of anything I'd love more than Clamp making another part of JoJo's Bizarre Married Life about the hatching of Jolene. Incidentally, whereas there's no soap brand called Stone Free, it is canon that Stone Free smells like soap for an unknown reason. Coincidence? Well, a member of Clamp and Araki did an interview about XXXHolic in 2006, and as it turns out, Araki's wife and Clamp frequented the same salon for a while. Araki thought Clamp was actually just a man pretending to be a group of 4 women until he actually met them in person, it turns out, but he definitely seemed to be at least aware of Clamp's existence. Unless Araki met Clamp earlier than this interview lets on, this is just a really happy coincidence. Or at least it would be if perhaps the most recurring theme in Clamp's work wasn't there being no such thing as coincidence. Anyways, Josuke, being the lovable and wholesome son that he is, passionately says that he thinks it's that Jotaro and Kakyoin are raising a teenage son, and how cool it is that Jotaro's wife is a man. We get a shot of Jota looking dramatically into the distance while Josuke gushes about how cool Jotaro and Kakyoin are, and so ends JoJo's Bizarre Married Life. And the cherry on top of the married life sundae is that Jota and Charmy Green have a very brief cameo at the end of the Clamp in Wonderland music video that was made to accompany this book. So what I tell ya, much like the series they derive from, these doujins are in fact pretty bizarre. Certainly much more bizarre than the rest of the surviving doujin that Clamp made, and dare I say more bizarre than most of, perhaps even all of their original work. In any case, there it is. There's the origin and context for the beloved Kakyoin Did You Lay This Egg panel. It's from a Clamp-made doujin about Jotaro and Kakyoin's married life after returning from their trip to not kill their breakfast-stealing neighbor Dio. God, I wish this were canon. While we're on the topic of JoJo's, now seems like as good a time as ever to remind you all that Mista is the best Part 5 boy.